Hi, I'm AC. Today we're going to build a swing glider. As you can see, there's three different designs. We have this design here, we have this design here, and then we have this design here. Everything about these gliders is the same except for this back piece. So, depending on what style you pick, that'll be the only difference in the swing glider. So I have three different designs to choose from. There'll be a link to the plans and patterns on how to build these in the description. You have to watch the video along with the plans in order to complete the project. In the video, I'm going to be showing you how to build everything, but all the measurements, the angles, the material list, that's all included in the plan. Alright, let's take a look at the plans. Here's a sample of the plans. They could all be printed out on your standard printer, computer printer. It also comes with a full-scale pattern file. You'll have to take that file to Office Depot or Staples or Postal Annex or someplace that can print out a large file. Obviously, you can't print this out on a standard piece of standard printer. And what you'll do is you'll take this after you get it printed out and make you a pattern. Just like this. Okay? And that's my website. But anyhow, let's get started on building this design. Okay, cut. Now that we've got our notches in these, we're going to go ahead and put a round off the edges on them. Okay, now we're going to assemble this part of it, which is these three guys here. Alright, and the way you do that is you mark the center with two marks on there. Then you mark the center here. So when you put it together, you'll know to line this up like that. As you can see, I recessed these to accept the wood plugs. Okay. Thought I just drilled that. Did I not just drill that hole? Secret things are going at play right here. Try it again. All right, there it is. Another thing that's most important about building this part here, that all three of these pieces are the same length. Okay. All we want to do is put 2 screws here, one here and then one on the other side. Okay, that part's done. What we're going to do now is what I like to do is take these plugs, install them, and then 24 hours later come back and cut them off flush and sand them. I don't like messing with it until it's cured for at least 24 hours. And my eyes are getting so bad. Okay, so that's it. And then after you get it in the center, I mark it with the pencil. You want the holes in the center of the 2x4 and the center of the 2x6. Don't make it too difficult. Again, I like pushing the glue into the end grain. The end grain, which this is end grain right here, tends to absorb a lot. And it's very easy to not put enough glue on this. As you can see, that glue just almost vanished, went right into the wood. Making sure there's plenty of glue. Okay, so now we're going to line up our mark with our mark here. As you can see, this was our mark that goes there. That. Okay. Making sure this is flush. Oh, and this is flush. Coming apart. Now we know where to route her. What we're going to do is we're going to route her up to this point, then we're going to jump over here and route her that, jump over there, and then route her this. You don't want this to be rounded. This has got to be flat where the 2x4 hits it and remains flat. Pre-drilling their top. Don't get too crazy about where exactly these holes, as long as it's in the center, somewhere close to the center. All these measurements for these holes are drawn up exactly where they're supposed to be on the plans. I choose not to. I've done this so many times, I know. And since this is the bottom, you don't want no screws sticking out. Okay, so that's that. All we need to do now is put our hangers in there. And that's whether you're using this or anything else. I mean, I always put the open end towards here, so when you're looking at it, you don't see an open end, it looks cleaner. What you want to do is really tighten these pretty good. You don't want them to become loose, because this should be one and done. Once you tighten this, that's it. Okay, and basically you repeat the same. Tighten those up. And that's it. That's our other side. And then, like I said, we're going to make a piece to go on a decorative box. Okay, now we're going to make our decorative box. That's going to go over the top of our glider frame ends. Come here, cut 45 degrees on it. Okay. Line these two cuts up. Mark that. You want these two to be exactly the same, and you want your shorter pieces to be exactly the same. Losing my eyesight. Bark side, the outside of the tree is going to be the top. So that's the edge that we're going to make with this. Okay, so that's basically it. That's our decorative box that goes on top of our that. And that'll be where we're going to notch this piece out to go in there. Just like we did here. See how that's notched out? That way it'll slide right in there like that and make a good joint. This is where the area we're going to be taking out. This is approximately a 1/4 inch deep. Doesn't have to be perfect. Knock these pieces out with a hammer. So now what we want to do is we want to round these edges, all the edges we can, with the exception of this edge. These two edges here you want square to fit into our seat support. So when we router, we're going to stop right here and here. There you have it. Okay, this is a sample of the full-scale pattern page. As you can see, this is the piece for seat slat. And then all the other, any part that has a shape onto it, in other words, if it's not something simple like a straight piece of wood or something that's straight, you use these patterns. All the patterns are provided. They're all documented to where the holes go, where you router out for your arm. Here's our side piece we just made. Shows you where all the areas that have to be taken out, all the measurements are there. And so that's basically it. Obviously you can't print this out on your printer, but the rest of the plans you can. Here's a sample of this is the actual plans with all the, you have a detailed explanation of how everything goes together, assembly detail, there's a side view of it. Here's the frame that we're building that's currently on the bench, which is right here. And then you have individual part pages. Each page identifies what part it is, where to drill the holes, how to, the lengths to make it, and then you can print this out on your printer. It's standard 8.5 by 11. And then with every plan you get the full-scale pattern. Now to get that made, you go to your office centers, Office Depot or Staples or some place where you could have a large document printed out. I advise you to make these patterns out of 1/4 inch plywood if you're going to make more than one. I mean, you could use the paper and just pin it onto the wood with some pins if you're just going to make one. But if, you know, if you're going to make more than one, you should probably make your own pattern out of wood. And then we'll make this cut with the bandsaw. Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and we'll finish our front cut here. Two angles. You have this angle, and then you have this other angle here. Can't cut that angle with the miter saw, so we'll cut that with the bandsaw along with this cut. Okay, I'm going to take and clean this up a little bit with a sander here. Okay, now we have to transfer these marks for our side pieces onto this piece. As you can see, I have little marks here, and you just transfer that onto the This will be the same depth as this. It's about a 1/4 inch deep. 1/4 inch deep here, 1/4 inch deep there. And this will be exposed, so we want it to look decorative, and we're going to round the edges. This is the part where the seat slats go, so we don't want to round those. We want to keep them flat. So these marks are where the last seat slat's going to butt up to our back. This is all going to be exposed, so we're going to round these edges to make it look decorative. With the frame, and that is to make one more of these and install that. There's 2 stretchers that tie each side together. As you can see, I've already made one and installed it. I'm going to show you how to make the other one, which is identical to this, and it's just put in the back side. Same with this piece here. This is going to be our piece that's actually going to hold the swing glider up and swing back and forth. I've made one here already, as you can see. I want to make another one to go in the back, and it's also identical to this. Okay, so we've already made our box, and we're going to put our top on. But before that, we're going to have to router these areas out to accept these bolts. That's what this is all about anyways. I mean, would you rather look at that, or would you rather look at something like this? It's just a decorative box to cover that up. As you can see, it has wood plugs in it. What we do is we're going to take and cut these off flush and sand it. Okay, so I got this marked. I got my router set at the correct depth. We're going to go out here and router these. seat flat on there. Okay. Because we know we've done that correctly, we're going to center our box on our piece and mark it. I've already pre-marked where our screws are going to be. We're going to have 2 here in the middle, 2 here on each end. Okay, so what we're going to do is we've marked it on this side. We're going to drill through each one and then flip it over and drill for our plugs. Now this is 3/8 round plug, and we're going to drill it about 3/8 of an inch deep. You don't want to go no more than 3/8 of an inch. And put a bead of glue all the way around. Set that down on our glue, and we'll take a couple clamps and put on it. It looks like we got a little bit of a gap right here, so what we'll do is we'll put our screws on each end, and then we'll put a clamp in the middle before we put our screw in there. Because wood's not perfect. You want perfect wood? Buy engineered wood. And then it's not perfect. there you have it. Alright, now we're going to fasten this to our frame. And how I do that is I use 2 screws and this stuff here. Loctite Power Grab Ultimate. It's very good stuff. So what we'll do, we've already marked our 2 screws. You got 1 screw here, 1 screw here. What we're going to do is we're going to be screwing up into it. So I'll pre-drill through this where our screw goes. What we're doing is we're putting a bevel on for the screw to seat into the wood. And you actually don't need a whole lot of this stuff, because once it dries, it's hard to get off. Okay. Take our clamps, clamp it on. Solid. And we'll do the same thing with this. We'll let it cure overnight, then we'll come back and cut them off flush and sand it. always sand with the grain. The grain's running this way. So you put the sander on there like that. You don't want to go like this. It'll make cross marks into it. Okay, this is a very coarse grit. I believe this is 40 grit. But you need that to sand these plugs down. They're very hard wood. Then after you get them flushed, take another sander with a finer grit. I have this one here that I use after to put a smoother finish on it. Okay, so that's really nice and smooth now. Okay, now we're going to make our piece that the swing glider will sit on and rock back and forth. So I've already cut this to length. It's nothing more than a 2x4. Okay, I've marked where our bracket's going to go. And here again, you don't have to use this type of bracket. You could use these. Okay, it serves the same purpose. Yeah. Main thing is you get this measurement right. From here to here, you put that in the center. That would work just as fine. And they have some of these. Matter of fact, on the plans it shows one like this, but it's threaded, and you put a nut on it. I no longer have those, but you can find them online. You can find these online. So we're going to go ahead and I decided to use these. I like these. They're stainless steel. They got 2 bolts holding them on. I like that. So we're going to drill our, we've already marked where it goes, and we're going to drill these holes. But before we do that, as with everything, that I try to make the edges more appealing instead of square. So we're going to run this entire board through the router and round off all the edges. that's pretty much it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come and cut these off flush or just a little bit above the nut. Reason you don't want anything sticking past the nut. Say a child is crawling around or something, this would be definitely a safety problem. And then just for aesthetics, you know, whatever you have an open side and a closed side, you know, whatever you have down there, I match. You know, if it's like this down there, I try to match it. You know, instead of putting one way and one the other. Aesthetics. I'm not too aesthetic. I'm not your average aesthetic looking guy. Okay, so here we go with that. Now on this here, I've got it marked where I'm going to cut the material out. You have to be kind of careful with your hammer on this. I was trying to knock these out and this whole piece flew off. You have to be kind of careful with that. The same with a chisel. I've taken this chisel and hit it too hard, and this whole piece flew off. Gotta be careful with it. And then once this piece breaks off, you've ruined the piece. Okay, that's that. And then we're going to do like everything else. We're going to run this through the router and router every edge that's on here, with the exception of this edge right here, where it's going to be locking in. Now we're going to mark our 2 holes. Each end has 2 1/4-inch holes to be drilled. Okay, now we'll pre-drill these holes with our 1/4-inch bit. This is done. All we got to do is bolt it up. Place like that. really tight there. I'm gonna have to sand that down just a little bit. Same goes for that end. This guy here a little bit. It's better to have these tight than a little loose. Okay, now on this here, you want to make this joint even better, you can glue it. I don't glue the joints. Reason being, I like to make it where you could disassemble this. If you're moving or you're storing it or anything like that, once you glue these together, they don't come apart. They will come apart, but you'll destroy the product. Okay, so even though we knew we got this put in here, I want to take a measurement here and here and see if if this dimension matches this dimension. That's what we want to check before we bolt our last piece. This and somebody's built this perfectly. Okay, so we don't need to do anything but put the bolts in. So 2 there, 2 for here. Wash it out. And our nuts. Okay, so we're going to drill our holes through this board and through our frame. Don't go nowhere. So this is it. You basically just tighten these up and then do the same thing on the other side. I'm not going to show you twice because my dad told me he was only going to show me one time. So I'm only going to show you once. Plus, you could actually watch it over and over again. Okay, and that's it.